California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Greg Gutfeld just ripped apart Gavin Newsom's carefully polished image, leaving nothing but arrogance, smoke, and a frozen smile. In a fiery takedown that shook liberal circles, Gutfeld tore into Newsom's hypocrisy, mocked his policies, and exposed him as a governor completely out of his depth. This wasn't a light roast, it was a wrecking ball in prime time, and Newsom never saw it coming. Welcome to Gutfeld Unleashed.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends. And
the night started like any other on Gutfeld's stage. Bright lights shining, his coffee mug in hand, and that sly grin ready to strike. But this wasn't just another show filled with playful jokes. Tonight, Gutfeld was in attack mode. His target, California's so-called golden boy, Gavin Newsom. The man with the perfect hair that campaigns harder than he does, who treats every press conference like it's a glossy magazine photo shoot.
Took common sense as his high ground.
Right.
There's no place outside of it.
That's right.
And so they're stuck in this horrible, horrible place, much like you, Jamie, and your life. As California falls apart, it must remind you somewhat of your own personal life.
Yeah. Sometimes I look at footage of California and I go, oh, look how much better it is than my life.
Guys, if this takedown has you hooked, hit subscribe, because standing in Gutfeld's spotlight was the poster child of progressive perfection. Or at least, that's the role Gavin Newsom loves to play. But behind the shine lies a record full of failures stacked higher than unpaid fines. And Gutfeld wasn't just pointing them out, he was tearing them apart. With the sharpness of a comedian done with fake theatrics, he shredded Newsom's public image like a bad Hollywood script, flashy, overhyped, and begging for a rewrite. For years, Newsom has coasted on his golden boy status within the Democratic Party.
Why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it. Then people actually came.
He flashes a toothpaste commercial smile, throws out buzzwords like he's on a TED Talk, stage and struts as if California were a paradise built by his own hands. But beyond the staged events and glittery dinners, the reality outside the governor's mansion has collapsed. And Gutfeld wasn't letting the illusion slide. The moment he stepped on stage, the tone shifted. No warm-up, no soft jokes, just a wave of brutal truth slicing through Newsom's carefully crafted ego.
You conflate order with authoritarianism, you get chaos and destruction. So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them put it out.
Gutfeld began peeling away the polished surface, exposing the rot beneath California's image. The model state Newsom brags about now looks like a state crumbling under its own weight. Streets have turned into sprawling tent cities, while taxes shot up so high that Elon Musk practically sprouted wings and fled to Texas. For crime, Gutfeld didn't need to exaggerate. The facts were damning enough. Smash and grabs left stores in ruins, and carjackings became almost as common as calling an Uber. Yet somehow, Newsom still clings to his fairy tale of success.
Problem is his track record, his performance as mayor, as lieutenant governor, and governor. And your analogies are great. I think mine are better. And just hold on, and here's why. He shows up at the fires and says, who the hell caused this? I'm going to crack down on the people responsible. He sees the homeless encampments blocking the sidewalks and said, you guys clean that up. He started it. He spent $3 billion to fix it. And his opening words in 2020 when it got the job is, it's a disgrace. The richest state in the country and the richest nation of the world has a homeless problem. I will fix it. He spends $1 billion. When it's not fixed, he blames the mayors, and he also forced the movie industry and Silicon Valley out of the best state in the country by high taxes. I've never seen someone with such a bad performance, but yet I think he's the front runner to get the nomination for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They got nobody else. Sherrod, welcome back.
Thanks, will you waste Chase Torias? And somehow, Newsom still found the time to lecture other states, preaching about morality, freedom, and leadership as if he were America's guiding star. That's when Gutfeld turned the heat all the way up. This wasn't just hypocrisy, it was a staged performance. Newsom was the overpaid actor tripping over his own lines. Gutfeld laid it out, a governor scolding Florida for book bans while kids in his own schools can't even read at grade level. Criticizing Texas on abortion while his streets drown in fentanyl and homelessness. The irony was so sharp the crowd couldn't help but laugh. Not out of joy, but because the truth hit hard. Then came the big finish. Newsom's stage, his spotlight, his moment to shine, flipped against him.
So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up in Winnebagos? Once again, another example of a high-profile lib using his big mouth to write a check his ass can't cash. Last year, after the Texas Governor Abbott ordered that parents of transitioning children should face criminal investigation, Newsom then tweeted this: trans kids and their families should be celebrated, not targeted by the state. They are heroes. And so to fearful families in Texas right now, California's door is always open to you.
With that sly grin, Gutfeld painted a brutal picture. California's middle class is disappearing faster than water in the desert. Small businesses lock their doors for good, while Hollywood elites and Silicon Valley moguls sip champagne behind guarded gates. And through it all, there's Gavin, still smiling, still flawless, hair sculpted like a statue, as if the suffering around him were just a backdrop for his next campaign ad. But Gutfeld wasn't aiming for cheap laughs. He came armed with a harsher truth. Newsom wasn't just flawed, he was driving people out. Families weren't leaving because they wanted to. They were fleeing because they had to. Businesses packed up, desperate to survive somewhere else. Even lifelong Californians were left asking, how did it get this bad?
What do you think about Gavin Newsom? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know how they bump out Kamala out of VIP, put a white male in there and take her out. She's got too much of an ego to just step aside. She's going to go crazy if they try to do that.
Plus, she had a strong 2% support, so don't forget that.
Yeah, but she's waiting for that spot to just open for her, and then you put a white male in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to put. I mean, they did it to Bernie. They threw him under the bus two presidential ones in a row. They just gave him a couple extra houses in Vermont. Go, yeah, you got some extra money. But I don't know how they could do it with her.
Yeah, it'd be great if they threw her under the bus because she really likes buses. Remember?
And Gutfeld didn't stop. He locked in on the man steering California's sinking ship. It felt like watching a magic trick unravel. Every illusion Newsom built peeled away one by one. The economic growth he bragged about? Smoke and mirrors. His climate leadership? Empty press releases wrapped in solar panels. Even his so-called compassion? Just a performance for the cameras. Then came the moment that froze the room. Not rage, but crystal clear truth. Gutfeld compared California to a mansion gleaming on the outside. Spotless windows, manicured lawns, but step inside and you'd smell mold, see cracked foundations, and a leaking roof, a shiny shell hiding decay. He called it a house held up by slogans, built on collapsing policies. That, he declared, is Gavin Newsom's California, a dazzling disaster wrapped in progressive packaging. The audience gasped, then laughed. Not because it was exaggerated, but because it was exactly what they suspected. California wasn't a beacon, it was a warning.
Californians used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems of the last decade were based on his and his party's lies.
The crowd's laughter wasn't at a joke, it was recognition. They knew the truth, and Gutfeld delivered it with the precision of a scalpel. Meanwhile, Gavin, whether lounging in luxury or speaking from velvet-draped podiums, probably thought his grin could withstand any late-night jab. But he was wrong. Dead wrong. Gutfeld didn't just dent the armor, he ripped it open. This wasn't a debate, it was demolition. And from the rubble, something darker emerged. Whispers of presidential ambition. That's the danger Gutfeld warned about all along. This wasn't just hypocrisy or failure, it was a plan to spread California's chaos across the country. The thought sent chills. If California was the experiment, Newsom was the lab-coated scientist, and America the next test. Gutfeld wasn't about to let that nightmare slip past without a fight.
Then came the national polling by overwhelming majorities. It turns out Americans don't favor minors transitioning. So last week, when a California law was proposed that judges in custody cases favor the parent who supports transitioning a child's new gender, Newsom killed that law quicker than a late-term abortion. Yeah, I know, huh? Now the left, being the left, was outraged, but they missed something, because now Newsom says he only vetoed it since it's already the law.
Gutfeld didn't let up. He ended with a cold, perfect mic drop. A sly smirk, a slow sip from his mug, and a stare into the camera that said it all. We see you, Gavin. No amount of hair gel could cover this disaster. What made it stick wasn't just the laughter, it was the sting of truth. Gutfeld dismantled the myth of Gavin Newsom with nothing more than sharp wit and undeniable facts. No shouting, no theatrics, just sarcasm sharpened like a blade, cutting clean as reality itself finished the job. He led his viewers straight into San Francisco's crumbling streets, where billionaires step around human waste on their way to dinner, and businesses shut down, not from competition, but because law and order collapsed. The picture was undeniable. Gavin Newsom's California isn't a model, it's a warning flashing in neon. And
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
But there was Gavin forcing masks, lockdowns, and school closures, while small businesses and churches suffered. Yet he himself dined maskless at the French Laundry, clinking glasses with elites, as if the rules were only for ordinary people. Gutfeld didn't need to scream, he leaned into the absurdity. The laughter in the room wasn't at jokes, but at truths too many were afraid to say. Then came the exodus. Families fleeing by the thousands, searching for states where leaders didn't treat them as burdens. The laughs were real, but beneath them was a sobering reality. This wasn't comedy, it was failed leadership on display, and Gutfeld nailed it. The brilliance wasn't just in the facts, but in how easily he stripped away Newsom's mask, exposing the hollow figure beneath. And he did it without breaking a sweat.
Voters. He's the classic wolf in sheep's hair gel. Just watch him answer the tough questions.
Any other questions here?
Yes, Governor. California has a terrible homeless problem. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And I think it's a matter of perspective. Let's kind of flip the script on that, okay? Let's kind of put a new lens on that. I mean, you see a homeless man, I see an outdoorsman. We got a lot of natural habitat in this state, and I'm just so proud that so many people in California can take advantage of that. All right, next question.
He painted a picture of a man who lives for the camera, scolds entire states with a wagging finger, and builds his career on scripted outrage. Newsom, the walking ad for style over substance, wasn't spared for a second. Behind the polished image and perfect hair, Gutfeld revealed the truth. A political mannequin, smooth on the outside, empty on the inside. And he went after the whispers too. The idea that Newsom has his eye on the White House. The thought that a governor who ran California into the ground could try to sell the same chaos to America? Comedy gold. Gutfeld didn't waste it. He landed hit after hit with flawless timing. But the best part? The humor wasn't mean. It was honest. That's what cut so deep. Every smirk, every pause, every jab carried one message. This wasn't leadership, it was branding. And that brand was collapsing in real time. Gutfeld didn't yell, didn't rant. He let reality do the damage. And yes, Greg Gutfeld dismantled Gavin Newsom. Not with rage, not with insults, but with something deadlier to a politician addicted to his own reflection. Humor sharpened with truth. In a world built on spin, optics, and sound bites, that kind of honesty doesn't just land, it explodes. That night wasn't just a win for Gutfeld, it was total obliteration, a freight train of truth crashing straight through Newsom's carefully staged image.